German U-boats were not a single weapon, but an evolving fleet of radically different machines, each designed for a specific phase of the war, a specific ocean, and a specific problem Germany was trying to solve. As we go through this full inventory, pay attention to which design surprised you, or which you think were overrated based on what actually happened in combat. Early and pre-war German U-boats, 1935-1939. Type 1, the Type I, was Germany's first attempt at a large, ocean-going submarine after the Versailles restrictions collapsed. Built in very small numbers, it was intended as a prototype, rather than a mass-production combat boat. While it offered good range and respectable torpedo capacity for its time, the design suffered from poor maneuverability and stability issues, especially in heavy seas. These flaws limited its operational value and ensured it would not become a template for later wartime submarines. Type 2A. The Type 2A was a small coastal submarine developed primarily to rebuild German submarine experience. Often referred to informally as a canoe boat due to its extremely cramped interior, it had limited range and endurance. Its main value lay in training crews and conducting short patrols in the North Sea and Baltic, rather than sustained combat operations. The lessons learned from operating these tight, uncomfortable boats directly influenced later designs. Type IIB. The Type IIB improved upon the IIA by slightly increasing fuel capacity and range, making it more suitable for operational patrols. While still a coastal submarine, it offered marginally better seakeeping and reliability. These boats saw limited wartime use early in the conflict, but were quickly outclassed as Allied defenses expanded. Their small size, however, made them difficult to detect in shallow waters. Type IIC. The Type IIC represented a further refinement of the Type II concept, with increased fuel storage and improved endurance. This allowed for longer patrols along enemy shipping lanes close to the European coastline. Despite these improvements, the design remained constrained by limited torpedo load and crew comfort. As the war expanded into the Atlantic, the IIC's role diminished rapidly. Type IID. The Type IID was the longest-range variant of the Type II series, using external fuel tanks to extend patrol duration. This modification made it the most operationally flexible of the early coastal boats. Even so, by 1941 most Type IIDs were reassigned to training duties as larger ocean-going submarines took over frontline roles. Their real legacy was not combat success, but the experience they provided to Germany's growing U-boat crews. Type 7, medium ocean-going U-boats, the core force, 1938-1945. Type 7A. The Type 7A was the first fully operational model of what would become Germany's most important submarine family. It introduced a balanced design combining manageable size, decent range, and a practical torpedo load, making it suitable for North Atlantic patrols. However, its limited fuel capacity and shallow diving depth exposed weaknesses once Allied anti-submarine measures intensified. As a result, it served mainly as a transitional step rather than a long-term frontline solution. Type 7IB. The Type 7IB addressed the main shortcomings of the CIA by adding external fuel tanks and increasing torpedo capacity. This variant offered longer patrol endurance and improved offensive flexibility, allowing commanders to stay on station longer and engage more targets. Many of the early U-boat successes of 1939-1941 were achieved by ZIB boats. Its balance of range and agility made it one of the most respected early war designs. Type 7C. The Type 7AC became the most produced German submarine of World War II and the backbone of the U-boat arm. Slightly heavier than the CIB, it standardized many systems and simplified mass production without sacrificing combat effectiveness. These boats operated across the Atlantic, Arctic, and Caribbean, making them the most familiar silhouette of the submarine war. Their widespread use also made them the primary target of Allied detection and countermeasures. Type 7EC-41. The Type 7EC-41 introduced a strengthened pressure hull, allowing deeper operational diving depths to evade enemy attacks. Weight savings in non-essential components improved survivability without reducing armament. While these improvements came too late to reverse Germany's strategic decline, they reflected a shift toward defensive adaptation rather than offensive dominance. Crews valued the increased depth margin during increasingly dangerous patrols. Type 7C-42. The Type 7C-42 was planned as a heavily reinforced evolution, capable of even deeper dives and improved survivability. Resource shortages and bombing campaigns meant only limited construction was completed, and few reached operational status. The design highlighted Germany's recognition that earlier Type 7 boats were becoming too vulnerable. In practice, the war ended before this variant could have any measurable impact. Type 9, long-range U-boats, Ocean Raiders, 1939–1944. Type 9A. The Type 9A was Germany's first true long-range attack submarine, designed to operate far beyond European waters. It carried more fuel and torpedoes than the Type 7 boats, allowing extended patrols into the central Atlantic. However, its larger size reduced maneuverability and made it easier to detect. Despite this, it demonstrated the strategic value of long-endurance submarines early in the war. Type IXB. The Type IXB expanded on the IXA concept by further increasing range and operational reliability. These submarines were capable of sustained missions against distant shipping routes, including off the coast of Africa. Their extended reach forced the Allies to spread escort resources more thinly. This strategic pressure outweighed their relatively small production numbers. Type IXC. The Type IXC became the most widely used variant of the Type IX family. It offered a practical balance between endurance, armament, and reliability, making it suitable for operations against American shipping in 1942. Many of the early successes during the so-called Second Happy Time were achieved by IXC boats. Their effectiveness declined as Allied coastal defenses improved. Type IXC-40. The Type IXC-40 featured structural changes that increased fuel capacity and improved stability at sea. These modifications allowed even longer patrols but added weight and reduced agility. By the time this variant entered service, Allied air patrols and radar coverage had expanded dramatically. As a result, extended range no longer guaranteed survivability. Type IXD-1. The Type IXD-1 was designed as a high-speed surface cruiser submarine, emphasizing speed over stealth. This concept proved flawed, as increased surface performance offered little advantage once Allied air dominance grew. Mechanical complexity further reduced reliability. The design was quickly overshadowed by more practical alternatives. Type IXD-2. The Type IXD-2 shifted focus back to endurance rather than speed, becoming one of Germany's longest-range operational submarines. These boats conducted missions in the Indian Ocean, operating alongside Japanese forces. While technologically impressive, they arrived too late and in too few numbers to influence the overall course of the war. Specialized support and mine-laying U-boats Type X. The Type X was designed as a dedicated mine-laying submarine, intended to disrupt enemy shipping without direct confrontation. It could carry a large number of naval mines internally, allowing Germany to threaten ports and narrow sea lanes covertly. Early versions revealed handling and stability issues due to their size and weight distribution. Even so, the concept demonstrated how submarines could be used strategically, rather than purely as torpedo platforms. Type XB. The Type XB was an improved and enlarged evolution of the Type X design, capable of carrying an even greater mine load. These boats were among the largest conventional submarines Germany operated during the war. Their mines posed a serious threat to Allied shipping, especially in heavily trafficked coastal areas. However, the XB's slow diving time and large silhouette made it vulnerable once Allied anti-submarine measures intensified. Type 13th, Milchkuh, pronounced milk cow. The Type 13th was a supply submarine built to refuel, rearm, and resupply combat U-boats far from German ports. Nicknamed Milchkuh by their crews, these boats were unarmed aside from light anti-aircraft weapons and relied on secrecy for survival. They extended the operational reach of the U-boat fleet by allowing patrols to last far longer than previously possible. Once the Allies began targeting these supply boats specifically, the effectiveness of long-range U-boat operations declined rapidly. Experimental high-speed and advanced propulsion U-boats. Type 17A. The Type. 17A was an experimental submarine built to test hydrogen peroxide propulsion, known as the Walter turbine system. This technology allowed the boat to achieve unprecedented underwater speeds compared to conventional diesel-electric submarines. In trials, the Type 17A demonstrated impressive performance, but the propulsion system was complex, dangerous, and difficult to maintain. These drawbacks prevented it from being adopted as a reliable frontline solution. Type 17B. The Type 17B refined the Walter turbine concept with improved internal layout and greater fuel capacity. It was intended to serve as a practical stepping stone toward high-speed submerged warfare. Despite technical improvements, the core problems remained, including high maintenance demands and vulnerability to mechanical failure. As wartime conditions worsened, Germany lacked the resources and time to resolve these issues fully. Type 17. The Type TC-8 was planned as a large, ocean-going submarine built around the Walter propulsion system. On paper, it promised a combination of long-range and high submerged speed that could outmatch Allied escorts. In reality, the design never progressed beyond incomplete construction due to bombing, resource shortages, and shifting priorities. Although it never entered service, the Type XT-8 heavily influenced the design philosophy of later submarines. Elektroboots, the Submerged Warfare Revolution, 1944-1945. Type 14, Elektroboot. The Type 14, universally known as the Elektroboot, represented a complete break from earlier submarine design philosophy. Unlike previous U-boats that were essentially surface ships that could submerge, the Type 14 was engineered to operate primarily underwater. It featured massive battery capacity, a streamlined hull, and advanced sonar systems, allowing it to remain submerged for extended periods while maintaining higher underwater speeds than Allied escorts. Although plagued by rushed construction and quality control problems, the Type 14 fundamentally changed how navies around the world approached submarine warfare. Type WW2. The Type WW2 was a smaller, coastal-focused electroboot that applied the same submerged first principles on a reduced scale. It was optimized for operations in shallow waters, particularly the North Sea and coastal approaches to Britain. These boats were highly maneuverable and difficult to detect when submerged, achieving some late-war successes despite limited numbers. Their arrival came too late to influence the overall conflict, but they proved the viability of compact, high-performance submarines. Captured and foreign-design U-boats in German service UD3, ex-Dutch O-21 class. UD3 was originally a Dutch O-21 class submarine captured by Germany during the occupation of the Netherlands. After completion under German control, it was commissioned primarily for training and evaluation purposes. While technically competent, the design did not align well with German operational doctrine or logistical systems. As a result, its frontline combat value remained limited. UD4, ex-Dutch O-25 class. UD4 was another captured Dutch submarine, taken over before it could be scuttled. Germany completed and commissioned the boat to study foreign submarine design and construction standards. Although usable, it suffered from integration challenges, including unfamiliar systems and spare part complications. These issues restricted it mostly to secondary roles rather than sustained combat patrols. UD5, ex-Dutch O-26 class. UD5 represented a more modern foreign design compared to earlier captured boats, but it faced similar problems once absorbed into the German fleet. Differences in engineering philosophy and onboard equipment complicated crew training and maintenance. While it provided valuable technical insight, it never became a meaningful contributor to Germany's offensive submarine campaign. Collectively, the UD boats highlighted the difficulty of incorporating foreign designs into an already strained wartime production system. By the end of World War II, Germany had fielded one of the most diverse submarine inventories ever assembled, ranging from tiny coastal training boats to advanced underwater machines decades ahead of their time. Each U-boat model reflected a specific strategic assumption: early confidence in short patrols, mid-war reliance on mass-produced attack submarines, and late-war desperation for technological breakthroughs. What ultimately undermined this vast inventory was not a lack of innovation, but timing. Designs like the Type 7 arrived early and were used relentlessly until they became predictable, while revolutionary boats like the Type WW2 appeared too late, in too few numbers, and with too many production flaws to alter the outcome. The German submarine fleet demonstrates a critical lesson in military history. Technology alone cannot secure victory without industrial stability, strategic flexibility, and control of the broader operational environment. Many of these submarines shaped post-war naval thinking far more than they shaped wartime results. In that sense, Germany's U-boat program did not win the Battle of the Atlantic, but it permanently changed how the world would fight beneath the sea.